Hello everybody and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be streaming part 4 of making the very simple egg catcher game that I started doing with Unity. Now, the last time that we were doing this, there were some problems which I eventually managed to fix, obviously. There were some problems with spawning the eggs, but we've managed to get that going. If we look at the game now, it is going to be spawning eggs. Yep, there we go, lots of them. The problem is that we don't want to spawn an unlimited amount of eggs, right? Because, it's just, that wouldn't make for a fun game. So today I'm going to try and figure out how often should eggs be spawning, in which positions, because they do need, they need to be random in order for the game to be fun, but they do need to be let's say balanced, so that you don't have to just keep one side spawning eggs continuously and the other not having them. And then we'll have to figure out how fast they should travel towards the floor over here where they will break. Obviously, if difficulty goes up, if they go faster. I was thinking about something complicated using a bit of acceleration and velocity. I'm not sure that we will do that because it is, as I said, it's complicated, and I'm trying to keep this game as simple as possible. Although simple isn't always very fun. Not that complex is very fun either. So let's just see how we'll handle that problem. Right, so let's get into it. So at this moment the eggs are spawning, but there are too many of them, and obviously if you don't have the coops, the egg coops, the ostrich coops on top, then there won't be a need for you to spawn eggs over there. So in this update we'll need to check first which coops are I'm not going to use a 4. Yeah, no, this seems like a bad idea. I mean, we had to do it in order to get the spawning going, but making them in a for loop on each update is a very bad idea, because this means the game basically updates 60 times a second, if I'm not mistaken. And let's just go ahead and make sure that I am not mistaken. How do I open a new Chrome, new window? There we go, new window. So let's go ahead and Google Unity update cycle. Are we going to get the answer here, or do we actually need to Google somewhere else? Okay, this is all good to know and such, but I'd like to know how often it updates. How many times a second does Unity update? How often is the update function called? This is a pretty old thread. 60 to 70 Hertz. But this was in 2013, so well, it should be at least for 60 times a second, right? So there's no need for us to create 60 eggs a second. That's a bit too much. So let's go ahead and say the difficulty should measure like the difficulty level, and let's go ahead and add that. Now, although we do have the difficulty, we have the current level. In current level, how many eggs per second? Let's say, for starters, 2 eggs That's much. Nah, that's too much. Let's go for 1 egg per second for level 1, right? So that's CL, that's current level. If we've learned anything from before, it's that this shouldn't be working. So let me go ahead and see. The speed. We'll also add a public int egg frequency, because even though you start with 1 egg per second at level 1, this frequency should actually be, it's not an int, let's make it a float, because we do want to have comma after that 1 over there. We don't want to just, increment to 2 eggs per second, because that's just double the speed right off the bat. But what we might want to do, or would like to do, is actually after the level starts, it starts with 1 egg per second, and then towards the end of the level we'll have, like, I don't know, let's say 1.5 at most. And then level 2 starts off with 1.5 and it goes up to maybe 2 or something along those lines. Maybe even less. That might actually be too much, but let's just go ahead and say 1 egg per second. This should be public so that we can modify it, because it does increase. Let's see if we can actually, right, so we'll ignore this 4 and say we'll need to see how many eggs currently are spawned, but that's this is right here. So let's say if spawned, no, that's bad actually. That's actually bad, because the travel time of the egg might be slower than the egg spawning, so that's actually not a good idea. So let's go ahead and measure spawn times between egg spawning. So let's have a float spawn timer, which will start with 0, meaning that when the game starts, an egg will just right off the bat start, not start, I didn't want to say start. Oh, actually, let's start with 60. Let's start with 60, and each time an update function goes through, we say, what did we name it? Spawn timer. Spawn timer gets decremented. Right, so every time the game updates, the spawn timer is going to get decremented. If the spawn timer equals 0, then we will actually make a new egg and add it to the spawn list. So let's put that in here. Let's go do away with the 4. And right, so we'll make a new egg, blah blah blah. The position, right now the position is really important, so we'll need another if right here, and for that we'll need to see basically what level we're on. No, checking level is a bit dumb. Are we sure that we're getting these? I'm not actually sure that we are. Let's put a debug in. Debug.log. Yeah. Coops from, let's say, 4. These are the game objects. Name. Okay. let's go ahead and comment that code out so that we see if the game actually works right now. Okay, object reference is not set to an instance. So we're having the same problem that we had before, which is this find game object thingy doesn't work anymore, right? The error is 31 and then it's on 47. Why 47? Well, it doesn't matter anymore because we already have, yeah, because it's okay, so because it never got to 32 and never spawned created the list game objects. Okay, so this doesn't work anymore. Having so I have no idea why they still keep the find game object with tag thingy in Unity if it just doesn't work anymore. We had the same issue with trying to create eggs at the coop positions. No, actually it does work. What the hell am I on? Oh, there is no position 4, dumbass. I'm really such a dumbass sometimes. Anyway. There we go, it does. Ostrich Coop 4. So it does work. Alright. Good. And the eggs are spawning in the middle. Also good. Okay, good to know. So it does work. Great. That means that we'll also be able to see how many coops there are. And over here we'll have to say if should I make a switch case? We actually only have we only have 2 cases. No, let's stick with an if. So let's say if coops of 2, not like that, dot, we have to get the component. No, we don't have to get the component, we just have to see if it's active. Okay, ostrich coop, if it's enabled, right? And Expam intensity. Why would I put expam intensity over there? Well, that would be interesting to have if we'd like to have more. Let me check chat for a second. Anybody in the chat? No. Okay, no problem. Right, let's get back to it. Expam intensity per coop would be interesting in the case of the higher coops being able to make more eggs per second. Generating the eggs would be nice to have inside of the coop scripts. The only problem then would be that we'd have to move them outside of those scripts. Yes, we'd have to move them outside of those scripts because you generally want the floor script to be in the main game, right? Yes. So XPAM intensity, I'm just going to take that out. Should I? No, I actually won't. I actually won't do that. Right, so let's go ahead and get component of type CubeScript. You know what? CubeScript of cube, what? No, of cube scripts plural, and we'll initialize them as well over here. So let's say CubeScripts dot new CubeScript of 4, and let's make a small 4 loop x is 0. No, integer x is 0, x more than 4, x plus plus, and we'll say CubeScripts of x gets, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I think I remember having issues with that, with allocating object references like that. I'm not. We'll see if it works. Hopefully it does. Cubes of x dot get component CubeScript. All right, and let's go ahead and debug them. Debug log CubeScripts of 3 dot what do we have over here? We have position. That position, that should be okay. Let's see if that works. Let me go ahead and take that away. Any issues? Probably. Good, that works. Great. Okay, let's take the debug out. Right, so now we have the CubeScripts as well, because it was kind of awkward to always say get component of and then CubeScript and then work with that. 1 second. Right, so I'm back. Is this thing on? It seems to be on. Anybody on the chat? Nobody. Everybody's working right now, which is, you know, to be expected, at least in Europe. And I think people in the US are still asleep or maybe getting up right now, so not the best time to be streaming. But you know, the videos are. It's easier for me to stream and just let YouTube publish the video right off the bat afterwards, and we don't need the 60 FPS from game videos that I usually have when I record. So let's get back into it. Right, so right now we have the kube scripts so that we can use them over here. What would interest me is 0 for no eggs per minute. Right. So that's actually not correct. Okay, so if it were, let's go through this mathematically. If I'm going to set like 0 eggs per minute means that it has a chance. No, let's say 1 egg per minute, and let's go over here and modify these to 1, and then modify this one to 1 as well. Okay, looks good. So the idea, or what I'm trying to do right now, is okay, I need to figure out mathematically how I'm going to solve this, because we will have to look at a couple of things when we're generating this. We'll want to see if, for one, the ostrich kube is enabled, which means if it was unlocked by the current level or not. We could do this by looking at the level, but that's a bit, that's not interesting. That's not what, that would get a bit too complicated in the future. With many more levels added on and such. So that's not what we'll do. What we will do is look if the kube is currently producing, and if it is currently producing, because you can't have a disabled kube currently producing, right? They should be mutually exclusive. And when I'll write the code about enable, disabled, once you enable or disable a kube, it obviously is producing on right off the bat. Good. So we'll have to look at all of the kubes in our kubes array over here, the 4 of them. So this won't be an if, it's going to be a for. So let's go and say for int x0 x smaller than 4 x plus plus. I hate the fact that they do this. Can I actually change it? Probably, I don't know. So if kube scripts of x is producing, which is a bool and should be true, right? And over here we have them disabled for the upper ones, which is okay. So if they are producing, then we'll need a local variable for choosing which kube is actually going to make the next egg, because even though we have XSpam intensity for each kube, we also have a global XSpam intensity. So you can't have kubes produce independently eggs. You want to, at least at first, yeah, at least at first, you will want to have them you will only want to have the global intensity matter in this manner, right? You don't want the local intensity to be brought in, because if you check for local intensity and you update the game and you say, okay, this other coop should be producing an egg right now, it's not going to be very interesting. You'll just have streams of eggs coming down from both coops with a slight delay between the two of them, right? You understand what I'm saying? It's just going to be like a military parade. It's not going to be random. So what you want to do is have a global egg spam intensity, which will dictate whether one or the other or any of the other coops are actually going to lay eggs, so to say. Alright, so we'll check if it is producing. If it is producing, then let's have a local variable called, we'll define it over here. Let's have a local variable called, I think we need a float, but I'm not sure yet. Egg chances. This will be 0. No, it has to be, yeah, no, it has to be a list. Should it be a list? Yes. Yeah, let's make it a list. So how do you make lists? List of float. Let's just, no, not float. Let's just make it integer. So let's make it a list of integer egg chances. Now coop egg lay chances. It's going to be empty at first. We need to, yeah, we'll need to do that, and let's just say get new list of integer. Okay, right, so we will have to populate this list with the number of the coop, which should have the best chances of generating an egg next. So in this for loop, we'll look at if the coops are producing, and if they are, we'll add their, we'll then have to look at their intensity, because this might actually change with levels, right? So we want to add intensity to the coops, but we'll want to add them in such a way that only the global intensity is taken into consideration, right? So if a coop is generating 1.5 the amount of eggs that another one is doing, then you'll probably want to have that on the screen, and this is going to be done by you know, by random generation, by not random generation, but by random picking of a coop number whenever the global egg spawning intensity is 0 again. All right. Okay, so let's say, how should we do this? This is an integer right now. Should it be an integer? Because we'll want to, yes, it should be an integer. No, it shouldn't. Why would it be an integer? The global one is a float, right? Yes. So let's make this one a float as well. Float expand intensity. The two coops at first have a intensity of 1 for level number 1, and this is going to be easy. This is going to be, you know, if they have the same intensity, then add those two How should I do this? Yeah, let's just add them. Let's just pull them all in. Let's just pull all of their chances in. So if, no, not if. Okay, let's just pull them in. Let's make a for loop and say integer y is 0, y is smaller than coop scripts of x dot egg spawn intensity to integer. Do I have a to integer? As integer. How do I do this? Put an int here, like that. Y plus plus. This isn't going to work, right? Let's check how we do this. Unity float to int. Oh crap, math round to int. Okay. Math round to int. We'll need nothing else, hopefully. No, not like that. Not like, oh. Okay, and that looks good. And we'll just add the chances and say coop egg lay chances dot add x. Is this making sense? Hopefully it is. No, we can't do that. That's dumb. I think I'll right, so the problem is mathematically, and it is as follows. So if we want each coop to be able to spawn an egg every 60 seconds, then in order for the global should it be like that, or should it be independent? No, I'm thinking that it should actually be like that. I don't like independent ones. Okay, so it seems like this episode is entirely going to be based on how many eggs we're going to spawn every minute or every second. Making large lists, because per minute is just too much. This is going to be per second. Making large lists isn't going to be interesting. Because if we, the whole problem stems from the fact that we're going to use 1 for 1 per second, but when we advance in levels, when the game gets tougher and more eggs are getting spawned per second, you can't actually double that, because if you double that, that's not from level 1 to level 2, that's like from level 1 to level 5 or something along those lines. That would be much too fast, so we'll need to use a float in order for Yeah, in order for the eggs to be spawned. Maybe we'll come around back in the future and change this up or polish it a bit. But I'm pretty certain that I'm actually okay with this, right? The other thing that we could do is just look at the numbers themselves and compare them between each other. But chance-wise, that wouldn't be mathematically correct. Even if because if you have 3 chicken coops and they all have different spawn intensities, then you'll end up with the one having the bigger one, even if it's by 0.1 or 0.2, having a lot more chances of spawning them. So okay, no, this is what we'll do. We'll leave it at per minute. We'll go with ints. We'll change spam intensity right over here to 60 for coop 1 and coop 2. There we go. Coop 1, 60, coop 2, 60. Okay. We'll leave it. We will leave it like that. And we won't need that anymore. Do need that. And we'll go from 0 to the intensity and add 1 chance in the lottery, because this is like a lottery, right? Everybody gets multiple chances, so to say. And we'll add 1 chance to the laying. This will mean that in the future we can also do something like, after we add the chances and one of them wins, next time, because he won, he'll have half that, right? So we'll just go ahead and turn egg spam intensity back to half, right? But in that case, we might need a second variable to save the temporary egg spam intensity and the generally global given one, right? Yeah, I'm thinking yes. We'll see. We'll see even if we need the void start and void updates. Probably not for these objects, because I do want my game script to do everything. It's such a simple game that I don't think that we'll need to have too many objects doing those things. Right, okay. Alright, so at this point we should have a list of 60 objects, of 120 objects. This is why I didn't want to do it like that, because once you get a high amount of eggs per second and then you get 4 coops, we will be building very large lists, and I'm not sure how good Unity is at doing that, especially if this happens. Well, it won't happen 60 times per second. It'll just happen according to, you know, the egg spawn intensity, how often that should be happening. But yeah, the alternative being obviously that I could actually just move this around to the coop script and have them signal when an egg should be generated. That'd be more interesting, but I just have to work everything around. So I would have a timer for each coop. I'd have to go give away, because you could have 2 eggs spawn at the same time, right? But now if they spawn at the same time on different coops, then you will not be able to catch them. given that maybe they will have the exact same velocity, which I don't plan on having anyway, but that could be a possibility, just like at pinball when the ball goes exactly between the two pallets in the middle and there's just nothing that you can do about it, especially if it's very fast, driving very fast. So that might be a mechanic that we like to have implemented. You know, have this be like some sort of complicated this is already getting too complicated. This is why I can't have nice things in life, because always think too much and too complicated about simple stuff. But I'm liking more and more the idea of having the egg spawning be decentralized and just having flags which the update timer on the game script checks for the 4 coops. Should I do this? Yes, I actually think I will do this. And I'll start off with 30 eggs per second, which means per minute, which means half that amount. That actually sounds like a much better idea. I don't know that I'll need the start function, but maybe we need it, you know, just like that. Okay, I will do that. So let's go ahead and say public bool signal egg spawn. It's gonna be false. And yes, I will do that. That actually sounds much better, and it's going to be less code in the main file. So the spawn timer is not going to be relevant anymore. No, it's not. It's actually not going to be relevant anymore. And we'll have no more list of that. There's not going to be an if anymore as well. Spawn timer isn't going to be needed. We'll have a we'll have an integer called tix last egg, which will mean that every time you lay an egg, this is going to be reinitialized from 0, and every time in the update turn it's going to be updated once. Okay, that already sounds a lot better than I was trying to do before, and it also absolves us of having to deal with large amounts of integers in a list. Let's go for tix last egg. Yeah, that sounds actually good. So let's go for a local variable called let's have it do I have a float or an integer? How do I generate random numbers? Unity random integer, random range. Can I have a random integer, please? No. This is just the same thing, right? Random int value. Random range returns an integer if you use it with integers. Oh, okay, I see. So just put random range between 1 and 3. We will get the results from 1 to 2. Okay. This is how we want to do it. So we'll have like 30x per second on each one. Let's go ahead and change that back, or rather just change it. This is going to increase over time, correct? But, big but, what happens when the timer goes? So let's think of this mathematically again. We'll have a ticks since the last egg. Do we want it to spawn exactly on the timer? That's not going to be a lot of fun. We may want to have some like a 10% difference in intensity. So if it's like at 27, then it should already be thinking about spawning an egg, and it should go, no, actually let's go like for like 15%. So let's go for 25 to 35 in the meantime, right? So if 25 ticks, oh, it should be double, because if you have, this actually made it a bit more complicated mathematically, but I'm thinking that I can do this. So if you have 60 if you have 60x per minute, no, if you have 30x per minute, then you have 0.5x per second. So how should we do this? If thinking that I should be writing this down. Writing things down is always easier, especially when it comes to mathematics. So let's say that we want to generate 30 eggs per minute. That equals 0.5x per second. Okay. And we'll have a timer that updates 60 times a second. So the timer goes up from 0 to 60 in 1 full second. Let's see, 0 to 60 in 1 second. Let's see how I should be able to deal with this. Okay. It's a bit complicated to solve because I haven't actually done this before. I've never tried to spawn things in a timely manner, but with a small, like 10 to 15% difference, so that it doesn't look too mechanical or feel too planned out, because the players are going to just, you know, they could probably start playing the game blindfolded, if you know what I mean. Or should we make it on a minimum amount? I think that would make it a bit better. So you have like a 50% chance of laying an egg when you get to the minimum amount, which is in this case 30, and then the more you go up, the more your chances go up, right? Yeah, that actually sounds good. Okay, so what we'll want to check is, in this case, if ticks since last egg equals egg spam intensity. So this is going to be the minimum amount required in order for the coop to lay an egg. Then we'll chance it out. And by chancing it out, I mean, no, if it's equal or bigger or equal. If ticks last egg is bigger or equal, yeah. And this one should start at 0? No, it should start at 1. Because the egg spawn intensity is going to start not at 0. This is badly put 0. So this one starts at 1. If that doesn't happen, else tick's last egg gets incremented. Why have you switched that around for me yet again? Okay, so we only increment the tick since last egg if we're not spawning an egg right now. And yeah, so if it's bigger or the same as the egg spawn intensity, then we do a minus. Yeah, I think I'm thinking that's the way to do it. But it's not going to be a 50% chance. It's going to be a 50% chance at around roughly 35. So we'll do it like this. Okay, so let's random range a number from 0 to 10. We'll need an integer for this. Int chance, not change, chance gets random range from 0 to 10. If tick's last egg minus egg spawn spam intensity intensity is going to work the other way around, so it's not going to be per minute. So we'll need high numbers for the egg spam intensity and not the other way around. We'll need like 120 to start off. I know, I'm actually kind of yes, we actually will need that. So let's go ahead and change this once again. I'm sorry, it's the first time that I'm doing it, and I want it to be done properly. Right, so then we'll do the difference. It would have been complicated to do it before the set intensity, because that would mean that I'd need a second if, and I wouldn't like that. So we'll just do it at the base point. So if it gets to the base point, then there's a chance of laying it then and there. If not, it might next time. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll chance it from random range from 0 to 10, and if that number, the difference, be it 0 to 10, is smaller. So if it's 0, if the chance is, let's go ahead and say if the chance is 0 and the difference is 0, then it lays an egg, right? That's chance difference. If the chance is 0 and the difference is 5, which means, yeah, then it lays an egg. If the chance is 8 and the difference is 2, then it won't lay an egg. Right, so if the difference is bigger than the chance, bigger or equal to the chance, then it lays an egg. Does that make sense? Hopefully it will. Then we'll need parentheses. Then signal egg spawn gets true, and Tick's last egg gets 1 again. Else in both cases the Tick's last egg just gets incremented. Right, so let's go ahead and check this out. Check if this works. Debug .log signal egg spawn. Let's have both of them. Let's have position. Let's have position signal egg spawn and see if that works. What? Can I convert bool to object? Does this have to be with a plus? No. How do you add multiple variables? Oh, that's the context. Oh, I see. Do I have to do it like this? No. Can't you add multiples? Okay, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, I'm running late on time anyway. How long have I been streaming for? Almost 1 hour. Let's just see if the egg spawning is happening. Is there a problem? Yeah, that's a problem over here. That won't be needed. Does it work with this if? No, it doesn't. Why doesn't it work? Can I? Yeah, that's great. You know what? Yeah, I don't care. Are you happy now? Possible mistake. No, there's no mistake. Oh, okay. It's still spawning a lot of eggs. Was that so fast? Crap. Wait, who's spawning the eggs right now? Oh, that's incorrect. Obviously. This all should be put into the if. And I will in a second. Okay, so we have true, false, it seems false, 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 and then that seems to be correct because it did take it some time for it to go there. Okay, good. Let's go back. So right now it is signaling that it should be spawning an egg. Okay, let's go into the game script update and say if is producing actually I don't even have to check is producing. That's dumb at this point. What I want to check is expand egg signal egg spawn. If it's signaled an egg spawn, then I want to modify this. Not modify this, I want to create a new egg. So let's go ahead and take all of this data in, put it in here, and this one as well, put it in here, uncomment these because we do have our X position right now, and don't forget to tell the kube script of X dot signal X spawn that we've seen the X spawn and we correctly created it. So shift and delete actually delete. So okay, good. Okay. Let's stop the Unity engine right now. Let's clear all of this and see. No, we have to debug over here. Say debug dot log just X. If a chicken coop is not a chicken, an ostrich coop is actually spawning an egg, we'll want to see where it spawns. Maybe checking the timers would be an interesting thing. That's going to come in the next episode though. Alright, so let's see if we are generating. What are you doing? No, I did not click pause. Okay, those are a lot of eggs and everybody's okay, so right off the bat that's false. What are you doing? Oh, I forgot to check if it's so if first of all if is producing. Right, so first of all just check if you're producing. If you're not producing, then there's no need for you to make eggs. Correct? And they were making so many because the intensity for the free number 2 and number whatever they are is a lot higher because it was set to 0. Okay, 2 eggs, 2 eggs, 2 eggs, 2 eggs. That's not cool. Stop. So they were creating 2 eggs at the same time. Coop 1 and coop 0. Wait, coop 1 and coop 0? Oh yeah, because I did set them to the first 2 in the list. Not least. Actually, the algorithm is running exactly how I made it, so I just made another mathematical mistake, more or less. Not a mathematical mistake, but you know. Basically, what is happening is what I wanted to avert from the beginning, and that is having the same coops, which have the coops which have the same intensity, have egg spawning happen right at the same time. Okay, so that is the problem at first. So what we'll want to do okay, so generating things randomly is not, you know, like these random generated eggs is not a casual task. right now what I'm thinking about is implementing some sort of offset where you pause the other coop if one coop wanted to generate an egg within the last, I don't know, 20 updates, then all the other coops are going to have to take a break. Additionally, what I could do is just I could just implement the offset within the coop scripts, right? So like just have how should I play with this? No, I think I'll want to put the offset in the main. Cooldown, an egg spawn cooldown, so to say. But that would mean that at no point will it be possible for 2 or even more eggs to spawn at the same time, which might be an endgame mechanic that I want implemented, if you understand what I'm saying. But I could theoretically decrease the offset between spawning as the level goes on, right? So as the game starts, you will have an offset between where an egg is generated, and as the level goes on, that offset, the difference between two coops having having the same so I'll still have to have a global egg spawn intensity or something like that in it. Let's see if I can do something basic like okay, let's make an integer called egg spawn. I don't know why I'm calling it an a spawn. It could be an a leg. Lay. Damn it. Egg spawn break. This one is going to start off at 0. Okay, and yeah, let's make it if egg spawn break is bigger than it is 0. If it's 0, then you might as well do all of this good stuff over here, else you will decrement the egg spawn break. Egg spawn break minus minus. Why do you keep doing that? It's so annoying, and I don't need a break between. I need to fix that. I really need to fix that. Okay, so let's see if that helps in any way, shape or form. This is going to mean that our coop scripts are going to keep on running, and the chances of them laying an egg is always going to be very high, which means that they will start decollating. What? They will start this is it has to be 0. If it is 0 and you do lay an egg at the end of that, so I do need at the end of that, set it to 20. egg spawn break gets 20. That's much more like it. No, no! Jesus! Okay, I'm getting really annoyed by this. I really have to take care of it, else Visual Studio is going out of the window. Like seriously, this is very annoying. I don't need a new line for each opening. It's completely irrelevant. It messes up my formatting. I have to look into this when the recording is done. It's just annoying me for no freaking reason. Okay, good. So when an egg was spawned, we take a 20 updates break, which means roughly 1/3 of a second, and then the next egg, if it should be laid, will spawn over there. All right, okay. Problems? Sure, but let's play. So let's see how many eggs were spawning. 1, 2. I don't like it. Oh, right. Of course. Of course. You have to break the for loop because it just spawns for everybody. Okay. I thought that there was something wrong with my code. Good thing that I looked into that. So 1, 2. Yeah, it looks fine. But this is just way too fast, and it seems to be quite mechanical. Okay, there was a bit of... Right, so what we'll need to do next, in the next episode, and not only is... Look, because it generated 2 eggs from... I don't think I want that. 2 eggs from the same hatch at the same time. Oh, right, because it does prioritize... No, this isn't going to work. We'll have to disable every egg spawning coop at after it spawns, right? So either disable it or raise the egg spam intensity. Raise it? No, not raise it. Lower it. All right. Why did I? This is going to be faster. I really need to find out what I did over here before we stop this, because this is driving me a bit nuts. It seemed to be okay before, but I think that it was still too fast. No. Okay, so we need 120. We need 120. All right. Not 3000. 120. Okay. This might be too fast as well anyway, but we'll mess around with it. So the point right now is that we'll need to increase the XSpam intensity after it lays an egg. But that's just going to end up in bigger numbers every time. Right, so generating the egg spam is a lot more complicated than I would have imagined, because you want it to generally be, you know, like alternatively what I could do is just, you know, no, that won't work either. No, so we need to put breaks in, right? We definitely need to have some breaks in. I'm not sure that a global break is actually going to do it. I don't mean this break. I mean a great egg spawn egg break. I don't think that this is actually going to do it. Wait, does this break the for? Hopefully, yeah, it breaks the for loop. Okay. Good. Oh, but it doesn't say if it breaks the 4, does it set the break? Okay, let's go ahead and have like a 120 break to see if it works, because it might also break the if over there. Let's go ahead and try that out. I'm actually curious, because that might be a problem. Okay, yes, it does. It works. It actually worked, but the break was just too small. Let's have it at 30, like half a second. Okay. We'll need much bigger numbers when we first start. That's a lot of eggs. That's like end game amount of eggs. I actually thought that 2 per actually uh, 1 per 2 seconds would be slow, but that's not slow at all. But anyway, this should do it for today. I'm already over the hour by quite some amount of time. We will get back to egg spawning next time, maybe. Although I would like to actually get them rolling down the ramps, the imaginary ramps, because there will only be drawn ramps, but nothing more. And yeah, thanks for watching and listening, and hopefully I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.